Dr. Ninja Turtle, and I keep forgetting to say that you can call me Ninja, you can call me Doc, or you can call me the Robin Hood of YouTube. That's what this Uber driver in Maui called me. He said I'm the Robin Hood of YouTube, because all of the proceeds, when I get monetized, a lot of you are helping me to get my watch hours, and I appreciate that. When I get monetized, all of the proceeds from my channel are going to go to help the homeless. So I am the Robin Hood of YouTube. So thank you all for being here. And Andy Mon, thank you. Wayne with Fairbrook Studio, thank you. Shadow Scout Swede, thank you. Rhonda, thank you. I just have so many people. I'm like overwhelmed with emotions, and I haven't even started the live yet. I get overwhelmed with the support that I'm getting from people. Shadow Scout shared my live out on his community tab. You know, Wayne puts me in his circle of support playlist. You know, these are things that I never thought I would have. You know, you couldn't have told me a year ago that people would be doing this for me. You couldn't have told me a year ago that I'd be going live. That's just not something I ever saw myself doing. You know, I'm a quiet YouTuber. You know, I'll just sit in the background, just make videos and hope and pray that people see them. That's just what I'll do. But we're going to get into this. I'm giving it a minute for people to come in and stuff like that. But we're going to get into this of talking about my new, and this, I mean, again, not just brand new, but this is again my debt payoff journey. And so I look back at some old videos of mine where I said, I'm debt free. I've gotten rid of all my consumer debt. Well, I'm back in consumer debt again. And how many times am I going to say, this is it? This is the last time I'm getting out of debt. Well, here we go again. This is the last time. Now, this time is different, I think, because I'm going to get out of all debt, not just consumer debt. Now, I owe a lot of money on my rentals. Let's just be clear about that. This is not a 1 year he pays off all his rentals and he's done. This is a 5 to 10 year journey that I'm getting ready to start on. Yes, it starts with my consumer debt, but it's going to keep going. This is something that you guys are going to follow me through. If I'm on YouTube for the next 10 years, you guys are going to be hearing about me paying off all of my debt, because I will be in my 70s by the time I pay off all of my debt. And I want that income from all my rental properties, from Social Security, from my pension. I want it all. I want it all. And that's my why. You know, that's my why. It's not this virtuous thing of I just want to be debt free. That's not it. I want money. I want the money. And the longer I'm in retirement, and I talk to you guys a lot about early retirement. Hi, Lisa. Good morning. I'm going to talk about you a little bit later. Yeah, you're on my to-do list of my list of things to talk about this morning. But and I hope I get to it, but I'm sort of giving you guys the backstory right now before I launch into my list of items so that I make sure I cover everything. I am getting out of debt because, one, it's building wealth, which is my thing, right? My thing is build more wealth. So if you think about it, as I pay off my consumer debt and my rental properties and all of these things over the next 5 to 10 years, I don't know how long it's going to take, but if I snowball it, it'll go a lot faster than I'm predicting right now. So, excuse my sniffles. I've just got something going on with my lungs this morning. So anyway, As I pay off the debt over the next 5 to 10 years, my rental properties will continue to appreciate in value. Rents will continue to go up. So as I pay off the debt, the income will continue to increase. If that makes sense. At least it makes sense in my head. So what that means is the amount of money that I'm making today, monthly, on rentals, one, they're paid off, so no longer do I have to pay the bank. So I get that money, and I'm not paying interest to the bank, so I get that money. But also, the rents are going up over time. The value of the properties are going up over time. So in 5 to 10 years, I will have built more wealth than I have today. And I will have more income than I have today. So I don't know about people in retirement who have less income in retirement. I have had nothing but increased income in my retirement, and I expect it to continue to increase. So I am going to continue to build wealth, which is one of the reasons that I'm paying off all my debt. And like I said, this is a long process. This is going to be a long journey. It's going to be slow. And so I'm going to talk to you this morning about some of the things that I do when I go into a debt payoff journey, because this is not my first rodeo. Now, I've never paid off rental properties before. I've always used them to get more rental properties. So I was in the accumulation phase. And so I'm now in the harvesting. That's what somebody calls it. They call it harvesting. And if you're a gardener, you plant things like Okie at Okie's Eden. He plants things in his garden, and then when it comes time, he harvests what he planted. Well, I planted all of these rental properties, and now I'm in the harvesting phase. So as I pay off one rental property after another rental property, and I snowball that extra money into the next payoff of the next rental property, I get the harvest. Now, this is not to say that I'm not going to enjoy life while I do this. I am going to enjoy life, and I'm also, along with this, going to build up an emergency fund of cash so that if anything happens, we do not go back into debt. We just pay for it and keep moving forward. So I'm trying to look at the chat. Oh, hi CL Fantasy Waves. I don't know if Okie's here, but yeah, Okie does the harvesting. And so now it's my time. And I hear this in real estate circles, is that there's an accumulation phase and then there's a harvesting phase. And I'm getting to that point in my life where it's no longer about accumulation. I have accumulated all the real estate I need to accumulate. I'm not saying that I won't buy more rental properties in the future, but if I could pay cash for those rental properties, fine. But taking on debt to buy more rental properties, I'm not real keen on that. The older I get, the more cash I want to have. So I've talked and talked. Hi, Simply Debbie Sue. Great to see you. And so what I'm going to talk about now is the different things that are going to go into the beginning, because all you guys are going to see, and let me stop right now. I paid off one of my bills this morning before the live. My very first debt paid off, right? Because I got a paycheck in from a school, and yes, I'm using one of my colleges to help pay down debt. The other college, 90% or almost 100% of the paycheck is going into a Roth retirement account. So I'm building something for my future in retirement, but I'm taking the other college and I'm using that to pay current debt. So you guys are going to see that my savings rate is going down. It's at 58% when I looked yesterday morning, but it will go down as the year progresses. But as I pay things off, if I pay everything off, then I will start accumulating more in my savings rate. And I'm talking about everything but my rentals, because the rentals are going to, like I said, be a long-term process. So, but my point is, I'm not going to stop when I just pay off the consumer debt and say, oh, I'm consumer debt free. I'm not going to stop there. It's going to keep going. And so, type in FIRE in the chat. I always forget to say that. Please like and subscribe. I always forget to say that. Everybody else says that on their lives, but not me. I get in here and I'm like a deer in the headlights, and I can't think. My mind doesn't work. Nothing works. So we're going to get to my list of items here because I'm 10 minutes into the live. Yes, thank you, thank you. Oh, it worked. Let's see, it worked for Andy. It should have worked for CL Fantasy Waves. Well, uh-oh, I'm buffering, or I've frozen or something. Okay, I buffered and froze for a second. That's okay, I'm back. Everybody just keep typing FIRE, it'll work. We hope that we haven't lost everybody. Let's get into this because the internet is wanting to buffer this morning. So I am getting to, okay, so I've talked about how all the proceeds from my channel are going to go to the homeless once I get monetized. I was last at 930 verifiable watch hours, and I'm going to check it weekly, not daily. See, I don't even check my stock market daily. I'm going to check it weekly and see if I'm making progress. So I have a 4,000 watch hour playlist. Just in case anybody out there wants to help, go watch my 4,000 watch hour playlist in the background if you want. So anyway, here is my quote, because I've been forgetting to do the quote of the day after my videos, and I don't do it during my lives. But here is a quote to get us started. You can't just expect money. You have to respect money. And so I have this tendency to expect money. I have multiple streams of income, and one of the things that happened that really motivated me to want to pay off all my debt is that I had a number of things go wrong in January, which put me behind the 8 ball in February. And I think I'm getting too old to be behind the 8 ball financially. And so I'm going to tell you about all these different things that happened in January that made me say, enough is enough. I am sick and tired of being sick and tired. And this goes with expecting money. So because I have multiple streams of income, and I know when these incomes come in, I know how much is coming in. I don't know how much on Social Security yet. I'm going to have to update you guys maybe next week on my very first Social Security payment and what the net amount is. I don't know what they're going to keep for taxes. I don't pay Medicare or anything yet, so they shouldn't take out anything for that. But I have no idea what the net amount is going to be. But it'll be between today and next Friday that I get that. And so my point is that most of my income, I know what I'm getting. So every time something bad happens, let's just say, because I'm going to tell you guys about this stuff, with my rentals, right? I have good months and I have bad months. And this January was just a bad month. And so I say, okay, no problem. I have income coming in. I'm expecting money from this source or this source or this source, and that will cover the shortfall that my rental income is going to have. Well, I'm getting a little bit too old for that. And so that has started this whole debt payoff thing of me having cash in case something goes wrong with my rentals. And so, let's talk about intensity versus consistency. When I pay off debt, I do the Dave Ramsey method which I'm not a big follower of Dave Ramsey, just so everybody knows, but I start with the snowball method. Then I turn into the avalanche method because that one makes more sense to me. I don't like to pay more interest than I have to pay. So I start with the snowball just to give me some breathing room, which is what happened today. I paid off a tiny line of credit that I borrowed money from to do some other financial stuff. And so I paid that back, which gave me breathing room, and it gave me some breathing room in another financial area. So my point is, I'm juggling my money trying to make more money. See, and that's what I do. And all of it builds wealth. I'm doing this whole wealth building thing. However, it's time to stop robbing Peter, to pay Paul, to make more money for Sam. That's what I do. That's what I do. That's how I've built wealth, is I flip-flop my money to make more money. And it's time to stop doing that. And so, because I expect money from all these different sources, I get into debt. And I say, it's only temporary. Oh, yeah, we don't want to freeze up. Sometimes I'm buffering. I'll just keep going. So I keep getting into temporary debt. I'm in debt for a month. I'm in debt for 2 months. Because I say, well, I've got this money coming in. I'll just pay it off over the next 2 months. Well, guess who's sick and tired? And guess who's getting too old to keep doing this? This was great when I was building wealth in my youth. You know, I would take my 9-to-5 income and invest it in real estate down payments. And then I would pay it off with my 9-to-5 income. So I would have real estate with no debt on it from my down payment. Well, we're not doing that anymore. We're getting too old and it's time to be mature. So let's talk about my intensity, which I'm going to be very intense here in the beginning because I need some breathing room. Right now, I feel like everything has a chokehold on me, which I don't like. Okay, I get very upset when I feel like my finances have a chokehold on me. And so right now I'm going to be intense. And we'll say the next few months I'm intense until I feel like I have some breathing room. And then once I can make all of the payments easily and I'm making extra payments on certain items to clear those away, and we'll just say the snowball. We'll use the snowball method as an example. Hi, Mike Adventure Sparks. I've been watching your channel. I love your fishing. Don't like the ice because I did ice fishing in Vermont. And because I had to do it at least once. And I froze when I was ice fishing. So not so much on the ice fishing. But I think it's so creative how people drive their trucks out on ice and trust that the ice won't break. You know, and they do that in Vermont. But sometimes you see a truck going through the ice because they waited too long to get their truck off the ice. That was my sidetrack, everybody. Just so everybody knows, Daryl will go to the left. He's like a squirrel. Yep, he'll go right off to the left. Anyway, first I'm going for intensity with my debt payoff, just to give myself some breathing room like I did this morning. That little move that I made this morning, and what I did was I used an entire paycheck plus a little bit of my savings that I had. I have very tiny savings. I used an entire paycheck from a college plus a little bit of savings to clear out a tiny line of credit loan that I had. The problem with that loan is that credit union's line of credit, the payment was enormous. And so that now buys me some breathing room because I no longer have to make this huge payment next month. So all of my other lines of credit have smaller monthly payments, much easier for me to handle. So I got rid of my highest payment, my smallest debt, and now that starts the breathing room. And so now it's all about consistency. So whenever anything comes in, and I'm going to be honest, I have not done this in January because I just felt like everything had a stranglehold on me. But in the past, like the last 6 months of 2025, anytime income came in, I would put a little bit to the side in my emergency fund. And I now have a $2,500 emergency fund, maybe 3,000, but that's the most I've ever had. I realize that's a tiny amount for other people, but I don't save cash. I just don't. And so this is all new to me, but I did not do it in January. But what I did do in January for the very first time, see, I want you guys to see I'm making changes in my life that are long-term changes. The thing that I did in January that I've never done before was I put money to the side for my property taxes for my rentals. I'm going to do the same thing in February. Even though I'm in severe debt payoff mode, I need to put money to the side for my property taxes for my rentals. That'll be due in December. I am determined that I will not wait until December and then scramble for the more than $10,000 that I owe in rental property taxes. It's hard coming up with $10,000 in 1 month without going into debt on something, right? So we're going to save up that more than $10,000 that I pay every year. Ahead of time. That's one good change that I'm making. Another good change that I'm making is putting a little bit away every time I get paid towards savings. I just didn't do it in January. I just didn't have the money and felt the chokehold. Because I start teaching in January, the schools don't start paying until February. So I knew I had to just hold on and make the minimum payments in January, which is what I did. And so I knew in February I'll start having extra money coming in and I will just punch debt in the face. That's the intensity I have when I'm paying off debt. I want to punch debt in the face. Now, having said that, I need to be consistent in saving money and building my emergency fund. So I want to say all these things because I'm going to give you guys updates over time, not every week, but over time, like in my monthly month-end video, you're going to see how much debt I paid off, right? But you're also, just so you know, you're going to see me have fun in retirement. This is not about deprivation. It's about enjoying life while becoming debt-free, while increasing my disposable income. I am also going to enjoy life. So this is not sort of I'm just going to eat rice and beans for the next 10 years and then I'll be debt-free. No, because I'm traveling towards the end of March, something like that. I'll be going up to Maryland to visit friends. And that's a trip that I'm really looking forward to. So that trip is happening. But if I'm in Maryland on a Friday, I will be going live from Maryland. Same time, it'll just be an hour later up there, but it'd be the same time that we normally meet. So let's talk about the things that went wrong. I'm just going to start this off by giving you guys the information on what went wrong. Punch me in the gut, because this is what happens when you're a rental landlord, okay? You have to be able to take these gut punches. And I'm used to it after all these years, and I have enough money to cover it now. I didn't in the beginning. In the beginning, it was horrible. You know, I'd have to live off of a credit card just to make the mortgage payments when renters weren't paying and I only had one duplex. But today it's a little different. But let's talk about what happened in January that made me sick and tired of being sick and tired. Okay? And I don't want anybody to think that I don't have enough money. You know, I have plenty of money. The problem is I don't want all my money going over here. I want to spend my money on cruises. I want to spend my money on going to have fun. I don't want my money going back into a rental for repairs. But here's what happened. So I had rental maintenance. A renter moved out, and this is normal. This is all normal rental landlord stuff. When somebody moves out after some years, you have to turn the unit. And so, since I have single family rentals, they have to do a lot of repairs in a single family to get it ready to rent again. My property management company, fabulous. They can turn a house and have it back on the market within a couple weeks. They already fixed up that house and already had it rented for the beginning of February. So my property management company is doing its job. So I had rental maintenance there. Somebody moved out, we had to turn a unit. That's a lot of money. Another unit had a water heater go out. So that's more money. So there were a lot of little things. And then there's the normal things. Toilet got clogged over here. Sometimes I need to put a new stove in this unit. Then I need to put a new refrigerator in this unit. It doesn't normally all happen in 1 month. But I have some rentals. So it happened. And in January, it just happened to happen. And so that means I get the money from January and February, right? Meaning that all of this maintenance stuff that went on in January means I'll have a lower February payout. So I have to now come up with all these mortgage payments out of a lot less money in February. Am I blessed? Yes, because I have teaching income coming in February to cover the low payout. See, but I can't keep living like this. I can't keep living on a wing and a prayer and being graced by always being taken care of. I always have the money come in at just the right time. You can't sort of rely on that. I have been very blessed that that's happened to me so many times over the years. The money comes in at just the right time. That's just me. I'm just blessed that way. I do not want to live that way anymore, even though I'm very blessed. So we had the water heater repair. My car tags need renewal here in February, right? So not only do I have less money coming in from rentals, but I got to renew the tags on my car, my motorcycle, this RV. Okay, all that stuff came up. An insurance surprise. Here, you guys are not going to believe this story. I'm talking to my insurance company, and they said, we were moving your policies around on your rental properties, and oops, we missed one rental property. We've got to get insurance on this one rental property. All of this came up this month. And of course, I said, well, we've got to insure it immediately, right? Here's my credit card number. Pay for that insurance policy right away, right? And so all of these different financial things came out of nowhere at the same time. And all of it just made me blow my top and say, Daryl, that's it. We're all done. No longer are we going to say, hey, I need to get this emergency rental insurance, put this on my credit card. Now, I could have paid for it out of my emergency fund, but it's a tiny emergency fund. I'm still trying to build it. So I'm not really comfortable spending it just yet because it's not even a regular emergency fund. It's barely a Dave Ramsey $1,000 emergency fund. And trust me, with the amount of rental properties I have, my emergency fund should be 50 times bigger than that. Okay? So I need to get with the program. I'm trying to be honest with you guys. I need to get with the program. So I'm refinancing rentals. These are all these things, all these money juggling things I have going on in my life. I'm moving rentals from one bank to another bank because another part of my long-term strategy is to simplify my life. I had rental loans at 3 different financial institutions. I'm now down to 2 different financial institutions. I'm trying to get it down to 1 financial institution. So I'm moving my rentals to 1 financial institution. That's just part of my long-term plan. Another part of my plan is to split up my rentals. So I'm moving them from one LLC to another LLC. Another long-term process. All this stuff is going on right now, today. So my financial life is one big juggling act. Well, that refinance of properties is going to cost some money, with the bank and moving the bank and starting another LLC and blah, blah, blah. Okay, money going out. That's my point, is I have a lot of money going out, not enough money coming in. So, as I do all these different moves to do financial protection, is part of why I'm doing this whole LLC move, and there'll be some future stuff, going on to protect my assets. All of this stuff has to happen. I can't say, well, we're just going to stop the refinance, right? As interest rates go lower, which is what we're hoping with this new guy that Trump is putting in at the Fed, as interest rates go lower, us landlords are going to start refinancing our properties for lower payments. And just doing the math, lower payments means more cash flow. More cash flow means I pay off my rentals faster. So there is a method to my madness. But the long-term strategy is simplify my financial life. Over the next 10 years, we're going to get all these rentals under one institution. We're going to have asset protection, and we're going to have them paid off. So it's a lot of moving parts. However, they all have to be done. The last thing that's going on right this minute, I know it's a lot. I've told you guys about a lot of different things, is this land that I'm on right now, I'm splitting the land. That's a whole nother different deal with my bank. Same bank, my primary bank. So I've got to pay for splitting the loan on this land so that I get this land in my name, right? And we'll talk about that on another, live. But what I'm doing and what I normally do to stay focused when I'm in a debt payoff journey, and I want anybody in the chat, I'm trying to make this interactive, but I don't look at the chat enough. If you are paying off debt, tell us how you're keeping yourself motivated, because that's one of the things I wanted to talk about here. Or if you don't need to pay off debt, if you paid off debt a long time ago and you're now debt free, let us know how you stayed motivated during your debt payoff journey so that we can tell each other how we do it. One of the things that I get into when I'm in my debt payoff mode, which is what I'm in right now, meaning every day I focus on watching debt payoff videos, right? So I was watching one, just popped up the other day, was Joyce Meyer talking about, and I don't watch Joyce Meyer, and it's not that I even believe in what she believes, but she was talking about becoming debt free. It just popped up on my YouTube feed. And so I said, oh, that's perfect for me right now. Isn't it amazing how the internet knows what you're thinking and what you're watching? Huh? You talk about stuff and all of a sudden all your ads are about that item. Well, they put Joyce Meyer becoming debt free. I just watched it, only because it's motivation for me. And of course, she talked about Dave Ramsey, I watch a show called The Money Guy Show, and I talk about that on my channel. I believe more in the Money Guy Show and the financial order of operations than I do necessarily Dave Ramsey's baby steps. But what they said the other day on the Money Guy Show is that you go through the financial order of operations, which are similar to Dave Ramsey's baby steps. They're similar. But you go through these steps to get yourself in a better financial position. But you don't do the steps necessarily always in order. You might go through steps 1, 2, and 3 and then go back to step 2. Or you might make it to step 7 and have to back up to step 3. over time. And so that's what happens to me. Sometimes I'm moving through my debt payoff process, and other times I have to pause. I have to say, okay, we're going to take a couple months off because we have no money coming in to do what we were doing before. But right now, all I want is breathing room. That's all I want. And so for the next couple of months, we're building breathing room so that when just normal money comes in, it's plenty of money to pay every single debt. We don't need any extra money, don't need extra classes. Again, I've been blessed that my schools have given me a lot of classes this particular semester, which has really helped me because I need extra money to pay down this debt and get myself breathing room. So just keep in mind, I'm super blessed. And Andy is saying, yes, financially free. And so CL Fantasy Wave says, I am only trying to pay off my mortgage and a few medical bills. My vehicles are paid off. I have no credit cards. I use cash when I buy something that is not a necessity. I totally agree. I just wish that I had done that. However, I was building this sort of rental empire thing, and so I was more concerned about building wealth than being debt free, which goes against Dave Ramsey. So you could tell I'm not on the Dave Ramsey plan. But I'm at a point now where the wealth can build wealth on its own, and I can take all the available funds and all the available cash flow and pay off debt. And if I do it right, or if I'm blessed again to have the extra money, I can do it very quickly, relatively quickly. You know, if you say you pay off a ton of rental properties in 5 years, I could do it. You know, I can do it because I live below my means. I don't spend more than my income every month just on regular lifestyle. So that extra money will go towards paying off debt. And yes, I have an order of items that I want to pay off, right? I'm starting sort of like Dave Ramsey with the smallest debt, you know, and one of those, the smallest one, is like my credit card, which I've run up, which really upsets me. I do not like to have credit card debt. So I want to pay off my credit card. However, I need to also pay down my lines of credit so that if an emergency happens, I have that money available. That's my parachute money. So I need to rebuild my parachute while paying off the credit card. That may not fly with everybody, but that's what I have to do. And so I'm going to tell you, whatever works for you and your family, do what works for you and your family. You know, every family may not have a paid off car. I have a paid off car, so I don't have to worry about car payments. But if I had car payments, that would severely eat into my ability to pay down debt. It would. Because car payments nowadays, I mean, my car payment was $478 when I had a car payment. And that was a top of the line Honda Accord. Okay, so that was the most you could pay really on a Honda Accord. But nowadays, $700, $800, over $1,000 in car payments, I can't imagine. You know, that $1,000 a month, I'm going to be using to pay down my credit card. At least $1,000 a month, if not more than $1,000 a month, because I'm going to punch debt in the face. I have an intensity level that you guys are seeing right now. And this is what happens. This is what happens with me. So I'm watching videos, right? I also have a playlist. One of my playlists are audiobooks, financial audiobooks. A lot of times, if I'm not watching people's video on YouTube, I'm listening to the financial audiobooks that I have in my playlist about managing money, about getting out of debt, about building wealth. I'm keeping my mind focused on getting out of debt, which will build me more wealth. so that I can enjoy my retirement more. See, it makes sense for me. It makes sense for me. And I can tell you, my assets are most likely going to double in value while I'm paying them off. It's a win-win, and nobody's losing. I can't lose. I can't lose by paying off all of my debt. So, and by the time I'm in my 70s, I'm not going to want debt. I'm not going to want to owe on a single rental property. And if I pay off 2 rental properties, the cash flow from those 2 rental properties will pay off the 3rd rental property. And so it's not that I'm taking money out of my mouth to pay this stuff off, it's paying itself off. And so I want to get my finances to a point where they're paying themselves off. Just like my rentals were buying me more rentals, it's now time for my rentals to pay off other rentals. I just need to get that train rolling, which is what you guys are seeing in today's live. We're getting the train rolling. I'm feeding the engine right now from my Social Security check, from my pension, from my teaching income. That's all wood in the engine of the train. Once the train starts moving on its own, it will start creating its own energy. And I can just sit back and just watch it pay off itself. Will I be throwing my little bit in? Yeah, right now I'm putting 90% of my stuff towards the debt. In the future, as it starts paying off itself, I'll be putting in 10%, it'll be putting in 90% towards paying itself off. That's compound interest. And that's how compound interest works. So if you're not compounding by investing, start investing. Your money will make money. My money was buying me assets. Now my money is going to pay down my assets. So that's what I'm doing. So we were talking about staying motivated, and I've already talked about why I still am making sinking funds like my emergency fund, even though I'm in debt payoff mode. Now, Dave Ramsey says you get a tiny emergency fund and then you hold it there and you just pay off debt. Well, I am not doing that. I am going to build my emergency fund while I'm paying off the debt. I'm doing dual duty here, meaning the debt won't get paid off as fast, but it will still get paid off with intensity. And my whole thing is pay off whatever debt frees up my money. However that looks, whether it's credit card, whether it's lines of credit. Like I paid off that debt this morning that had this huge monthly payment. That just gave me a ton of breathing room next month. That's one huge payment I don't have to make. So I could make a ton of other smaller payments instead of that one big one over here. So do what works for you. I would say, so Mrs. G says that QQQ is investing in Bitcoin, and is that a wise choice? I don't know. I don't understand Bitcoin. I have very little money in Bitcoin. I have a total of $150. That's it. Out of all the money I have, which is a lot more than $150, I have $150 in Bitcoin, and I've had it there for 3 years. Haven't touched it. Don't look at it. I add it when I do my net worth statement at the end of the month. I add my little 150, and sometimes it goes down to 120. It may have gotten as high as $200. I don't, that's just me. I don't understand it. And I just sold, let me tell you guys about this. I just went into my Vanguard account last week because here again, these are changes that I'm making in my financial life. Someone suggested that I buy some kind of option ETFs, right? Because they said they were making a ton of money. It's a friend of mine. He said, I'm making a ton of money with these option ETFs. You should do this. What did I do? I bought some. What did I do? Lost my money. Didn't understand them. He was making a ton of money with them. And again, I lost my money. I don't invest in things that I don't understand. Every single time I lose my money. And I'm sick and tired of that. So I just sold them all last week. I'm waiting for the money to settle. And then I'm going to buy, I don't know. I may get one share of Walmart. Right now I own one share of Walmart. I may buy a second share of Walmart with the little bit of money. I lost a ton of money with these option ETFs. And so I might buy one share of Walmart with that little bit of money that I have left. But again, this simplifies the number of ETFs and mutual funds that I'm invested in. And I don't think that I'm going to go out and buy more in my brokerage account. I'm just going to keep adding to the positions that I have. The older I get, the more simple I want my life to be. That's all. And I mean, in every area of my life, I just want cash. Just give me a bunch of money every single month and I can go out and spend it on whatever. When I'm 70, that's what I want. If I want to go on a cruise, go on a cruise. If I want to go to Belize, go to Belize. That's what I want by the time I'm 70. I want a bunch of money coming in. I can do anything I want to do. I could do that now, but I would be keeping the debt and doing that. We're not doing that. So the more we pay off debt, and we'll say, let's say 2 years from now or 3 years from now, as one rental property is paid off and 3 rental properties are paid off, that's more cash flow. And yes, I will be traveling with some of that money, but other parts of that money will be going to pay off that 4th rental property. See, so it's not 100% one or the other. This is all about balance and enjoying life more while paying down debt more. That's me. And that's what you guys are going to see as I progress. But I wanted you guys to see my starting point. And again, this is not my first time starting to pay off debt. This is just the time where I'm sick and tired. I'm just sick and tired. And I just want to build wealth and pay off debt. So let's talk about what happens to stay motivated when the progress is slow. Because like I said, this is a 5 or 10 year process, at least 5 years, at least 5. Could be 10, but I would think after 5 years of doing this, I'm going to have such a snowball rolling that it won't take me much longer. That's just a thought. I don't know. We'll see when we get there. But it's one day at a time, 1 month at a time, one paycheck at a time. Now, I may need that paycheck to pay for some current thing. For example, my car tag renewal. I haven't done that yet. I'm going to pay that next week out of a school paycheck that comes in next week. Now, one of the things about my schools and their paychecks is one school pays every 2 weeks. Another school pays every 2 weeks, but on opposite weeks. So if I was bringing that money home from those 2 colleges, I would get a paycheck every single week. And I've used that in the past to pay down debt really quickly. Every single week I'm paying down debt, paying down debt, paying down debt. Well, now I'm not doing that. One of them is going into retirement because I want to keep building wealth while I'm paying down debt. So one is going into retirement. So every 2 weeks I get a check. I have a third college, which doesn't give me a lot of classes. However, I have one right now. It only pays once a month. And that once a month is next week. So I'm not sure if it'll be after next week's YouTube Live. I'm not sure. But anyway, it pays once a month. So I'll take that one check, that one big check once a month, and boom, hit debt with it. See? So I've got to make hay while the sun shines. That's one of my favorite sayings. While I have this income coming in this semester, because I don't know what'll happen next semester. I'm not guaranteed classes next semester. I've got to pay debt out of what comes out this semester and make it count. If I get classes next semester, fine. If I don't get classes next semester, we deal with just Social Security and my pension money and my rental income, because it's not always going to be down like this month. I'm going to have some good months where I have extra cash flow, and it's just going to go to pay down debt. So, so let's talk about additional motivation strategies, because I have prattled on for 50 minutes already. Let me get back in the chat. So Mrs. G is saying, what are good investment options? Because she has no idea what to invest in. And I can't give you financial advice, although please contact me offline, and we can chat, because a lot of this stuff is personal finance is personal, right? It depends on you, your age, your family size, how many children you have at home, all of these different things. See, I don't have life insurance because I do not have minor children that if something happens to me, they would need that income from a life insurance policy. So that's my age and my family situation is the reason I don't have life insurance. Other people need life insurance because they have people dependent on them. I don't have anybody dependent on me, except my puppy. Love my puppy. Do not get it twisted. But yeah, I love my puppy. So, but Mrs. G, we're going to talk more. I keep meaning to get back to you, and we're going to talk more and sort of get you started, because when you start making YouTube income like she's doing, now here is my financial advice, because I'm not a financial advisor. If you're making YouTube income, put a little bit to the side. Invest a little bit. Now, of course, you have to first save for taxes from your YouTube income, but take a little bit of that YouTube income and put it to the side in an investment, whatever that is. High yield savings account to start with, stocks or real estate, whatever you want to invest in, whatever you're comfortable with. Put a little bit of that money to the side, because if you stop doing YouTube, for whatever reason, that money keeps growing in the future. And so I'm always going to say that. That's always going to be my advice for any YouTuber making any amount of money. I don't care what it is. Put some to the side for your future. So, I was talking about how I watch personal finance content when I'm in debt payoff mode, because I keep my mind focused every single day on where's the next money coming in and where's the next debt that I can pay on. And how much will that create breathing room for me as fast as possible? So I was watching, because I've got a list here, but I can't get through everything here. And we were talking additional motivation strategies, and that's mine. That's mine. Some people, this thing is saying that they have that thermometer chart that they put on their refrigerator, right? I don't do that. I don't have a visual chart or things where you color off the circles as you're saving money or paying off debt. I don't do that. What I have is I have a spreadsheet where I do my net worth statement at the end of every month. Now, there's a part of my net worth statement where you add up all of your assets. That doesn't really change. My rental properties aren't changing value every month. So my assets don't really change except bank account balances. But the liabilities, which is how much you owe, that changes. So every month, as I'm paying down rental properties, and I'm not paying them down, my renters are paying them down. But as the rental properties are being paid down every month, my liabilities get lower and lower and lower. When I take out debt on my lines of credit, my liability goes up. So I see it every month in my net worth statement. At the end of every month, I know, am I making progress or am I moving backwards? So that's how I track what I'm doing. And that keeps me motivated because I love looking at my net worth statement. I want to see my wealth grow. I don't want to see my wealth go down. That's not a good thing. You want to see it growing and growing and growing. So let me tell you guys real quick about, I was watching a show that Lisa J. Stocks got me into a week or two ago. And she was co-hosting, or she was a guest on a podcast called what is it called? About That Wallet. There you go. I want to make sure I say that correctly. So she was a guest and sort of a co-host on About That Wallet podcast. So I started watching this guy, Anthony, right? Well, I was in his podcast last night because I'm really wanting to consume personal finance content. And so I was watching in there last night, and there was somebody in the chat because I was in there chatting away, and the person's name was Dr. Sev. So Dr. SEV, Dr. Sev. And I'll try and put a link to her channel in my description. Didn't have it in there yet. So it's Dr. Sev Talks Money. Well, of course, my ears perked up when I saw that channel name. And so, of course, after I got off of the About That Wallet podcast, Lisa, again, thank you so much for getting me over there. After I got off that one, then I went to Dr. Sev Talks Money. Never heard of her before, but I want to watch her content. And of course, she had a playlist about getting a budget and getting out of debt. So, of course, last night, I watched her playlist while I was grading students about getting out of debt. See, now she and I are in the same YouTube niche. And that's okay. There's plenty of voices out there for everybody. There's room for everybody. I'm not taking her money. She's not taking my money. But I wanted to tell you guys that I am finding newer and newer channels that are personal finance content. You know, I watched this one channel, Hippies, Puppies, Kittens Budget, I think. It's Trina. And she does all these savings challenges. And I mean almost daily, she's putting out videos. And I watch her daily savings challenge videos. It's just a little bit to keep me focused. So whatever you do, if you're on a debt payoff journey, stay focused. Don't get sidetracked about, I want this new shiny boat, or I want this shiny object over here. Everybody is in Amazon and buying this particular item over here. I don't do that. I don't watch commercials. I don't go into Amazon if I don't have to. I don't. Sam's Club and Walmart. That's it. That's it. And I just made a Sam's Club run yesterday, so I'm good to go for a couple months. You know, so all of my money for the next couple months is going towards debt payoff. And so that's what this live was about this morning. Was one, I wanted to tell you guys not how bad I was or anything negative about myself, that I got myself deeper in debt. And this has happened over the last 6 months, that I've been building up debt after debt after debt, and I finally crashed. The straw has finally broke the camel's back. Now, none of my things have been necessarily horrible. However, I'm tired of this pattern that I have of build up debt, pay off debt, build up debt, pay off debt. No more. We're done. We're all done. And so I want to thank everybody that came. Oh, hi, Coach Mean Reen. I finally made it to Coach Mean Reen's exercise last night. I've got alarms in my phone. See, this is what I'm trying to tell you guys. I have alarms in my phone to go to different people's YouTube channels. And every week I'm sidetracked with something else. And so last night the alarm went off on my phone, said, go to Coach Mean Reen's exercise channel. Why? I need to exercise. I should have admitted that earlier. I need to pay off debt and I need to exercise. Well, I showed up last night. Did I exercise? That's true, Coach Mean Green. I watched you, but I didn't exercise. But if I keep showing up, I'm going to get up and exercise. See, the first part of getting in better shape is showing up. And Coach Mean Green says health is wealth. And somebody else was talking about this. If you're going to pay off debt and you're going to build wealth, don't you want to be healthy enough to enjoy it? I don't want to be getting on a cruise ship with a walker. I want to skip my way onto the cruise ship. See? So I'm going to work on my health. I'm going to work on paying off debt. And I'm going to work on building an emergency fund. So those are my 3 pillars that are going to be a part of my life for the rest of my life. For the rest of my life. That's what I'm going to do. And all of it makes me wealthier. And you know me, I'm all about building wealth. I am. I'm all about get wealthier. Get wealthier in health. Get wealthier in your finances. Get wealthy in your life, whatever that means. And so for me, I want to travel. And so I need the money to travel. I need the health to travel. You guys just saw me come back from Maui. That's only the first of a number of dreams that I have. But I need money to make those dreams come true. I can't be paying all of my money on debt and still go to Australia, which I hope happens in 2027. We will see. I have no idea how much it costs to go to Australia, but whatever it costs, I should have the money. I have no excuse that I should not have the money to go to Australia. I mean, I live so far below my means, it's pitiful. So there's no reason. I can pay off a bunch of debt and go to Australia. So anyway, I have gone on my hour. I hope that people have put things in the chat to help other people pay off their debt and get healthier. I did not get to, of course, everything on my list. I hope I hit some of the major points on my list. Although I think I did get to most of the items. I'm going to talk about one last item, and then I'm going to get off of here because I've gone over my hour, which is amazing because I used to not even make it an hour. And now I'm going over the hour almost weekly, is automate your finances, right? That is helping me tremendously. If you don't do anything else, that is one of the biggest things that you can do. If you have money from each paycheck come and go into your savings account, automatically transferred, that's paying yourself first. And I believe in paying myself first. So paying off my debt first out of my paychecks is what I do. That's paying me first, and that's investing in my future. So automate your finances, pay yourself first, get yourself out of debt if that's what you want to do. Because in real estate, we use leverage. We use leverage to build wealth. And trust me, real estate has a lot of perks. There are tax write-offs, there is depreciation on the properties, there are all kinds of government-given benefits to investing in real estate to build wealth, which is why I do it. So it may seem like I only have a tiny amount of money in cash flow. That's not it. All of this money I'm paying banks, that's a tax write-off. All this insurance that I'm paying on all these rental properties, that's a tax write-off. All the property taxes that I pay over $10,000 a year, that's a tax write-off. Yes, I have to come out of pocket. Actually, my renters come out of pocket and pay all this stuff. But the point is, yes, it comes from me initially, but it's all a tax write-off. So keep that in mind, that my real estate is not a money-losing proposition. I'm not losing money. I'm not. Even if I don't get cash flow that month, I'm not losing money. I don't do that. I don't lose money. So I hope to see you all again next Friday. Not sure what the topic is. A lot of times my topics are something during the